with me, Emily, one of our wellbeing coaches. I am a media tech here. I'm called Lucas. I've done a live before here, but Emily's done a few more lives than me.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what last live you did.
Negative thinking.
Negative thinking with
Yeah.
Kay. Yeah, so you've seen Emily before, you've seen me before, but we're going to be talking about the 5 keys, one of the 5 keys of the gift, but there's 5 steps within this topic. So if you've been on the gift, you'll probably know what this is about, but if you haven't, we're just going to go through them quite succinctly, not too much depth, but enough for you to get an idea, feel less worried about if you wanted to join the gift or not, and maybe if you haven't joined Isopia before, we can tell you how to join and what you can expect from the gift. So the 5 steps of stability: basic human needs, then we go to security and healthy relationships, inner strength, and then self-purpose. And the first one that we're on is basic human needs.
And just to give you, so the whole key is called the foundations of stability. And at Isopia, we think it's really important to kind of have those foundations that are stable and have those building blocks that you can work on, so that when you come out of the gift, you've got those stable foundations, you've got those things that you can build on, and you've got those things that kind of almost like a launching pad, like you've got those things there so you can just go up and up and up, because we believe that without them it's really difficult to kind of manage your well-being and manage your mental health, because there's chaos in your life. So without that chaos, you've got more room to focus on the inside of and what's going on in your mind.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to put it. I also talked to you earlier about how you should see it like a house.
Yeah.
And you're building first the foundations. So that's why we call it the foundation course, because we're setting these basic needs. These are your priorities that you need to get in set in stone first before you think about other goals like work goals or other relationships to build on that. So you need to have these levels set.
Yeah.
So if you are thinking about building a house, you need to think about the brickwork and then the roof.
Yeah.
Your roof is your end goals, your aspirations, things like that.
Definitely.
And then it builds the structure up. And then if you've got a healthy starting pad, then you won't feel likely that you're going to fall or falter later on in life.
Yeah.
And that will help you connect with people better.
Yeah, definitely. And just quickly, sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say hello to Keely. She says good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah.
And that's a really good point to bring us on. So this is a public platform. This does go onto our YouTube and to our Facebook page. So whatever you comment, just be mindful of that. And that if you do need any outside support, then give us a call. But that lots of people can see this. So yeah, just be mindful that it is a public platform.
Yeah. We've got our website at the bottom on the ticker, isopia.uk, and our number there as well. So if you feel like you need any support or you just want more information about the gift or our workshops, then you can call in at any time.
Yeah.
We run from Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can also call on the weekend, but you'll go through voicemail, but one of our wellbeing coaches will pick it up on Monday.
Yeah.
So as Emily said, be mindful that this is a public platform. If you comment anything, it's not just the members or people on the page. It will be other people who are on or off Facebook that can view this. It's the same with YouTube. So this is where it's streaming through. It's to those 2 sites.
Yeah.
So just be mindful, but we welcome comments and any questions throughout we go to these topics. We'll be looking at the chat. So feel free to have a communication with whoever's watching.
Definitely.
So first, we're on basic human needs. This is about feeling hydrated, make sure you have enough water, thinking about balanced diet and medication. So making sure you take your prescriptions and sorting that out, because that is your responsibility, but it will affect not only you, but everyone around you.
Yeah,
and it's just to make you feel healthier, as that's your starting point. And as I was going to say with these steps, these are all priorities.
Yeah.
This is just the first priority, and we're going through these steps. There's 5 within the stability of foundation.
Definitely. definitely. And I think as well, things like hydration, balanced diet, but also sleep as well, and exercise and things like that, they're such fundamental keys. And when I say exercise, it doesn't mean you have to go for like a 5-mile run, or it's just getting your body moving, getting those endorphins going, because these are kind of the states that our body want to be in. Our body wants to have enough sleep, our body wants to have enough food, enough water, enough like moving around. And if you don't have them, for example, if you don't have a very good sleep pattern, I know for me, and I don't know about you, Lucas, but if I don't sleep very well, my anxiety is already increased. My well-being is already lower, because I'm tired. So if you're chronically tired, you're tired and you wake up every day more and more exhausted, it's going to be really difficult for you to then build on that and to prioritize your recovery and your healing journey. So, and the same with food. I know if I haven't had enough food, I get really hangry. So that then has impacts on the people around me. So it's all about making sure that these priorities are in your mind and being mindful of them, because our bodies are kind of like a machine. They need to have the right fuel and the right surroundings and environment to thrive, and that's the same for our mind.
Yeah, that's the basic definition of what I'd say basic needs are fuel. So we cannot run without our water intake, our food intake, and balanced diet. I know it's difficult, and that doesn't mean you cut out sweets and not necessarily alcohol or anything. These are things that we like to enjoy, and that's fine. It's just you have to think about moderation. And is this an unhealthy amount that I'm having? So it doesn't mean you can deprive yourself of going out, but we are here to promote first the foundations and the balances. So think about starting off there. Usually you can buy these meal plates in any shop, really. I think Houseware and everything, they have the fish portion, meat, and then you have your veg and carbs, and just making sure that you build those electrolytes and you have enough energy to go through the day. It's the same with sleep hygiene. If your sleep hygiene isn't good, then you cannot start the day in a good way, in a good mindset. You will not feel good.
No, definitely not. I think as well, like what you were saying about, doesn't mean that you have to deprive yourself. And something that a very wise lady once told me is that just because it's not good for your body doesn't mean it's not good for your soul. So like, for example, pizza, having a balanced diet doesn't mean that you have to just have healthy foods all the time. It's about having that balance between good for your body and good for your soul. And I think that that's exactly the same for everything in life. It's whether or not it's good for you and good for your soul. And that's something that I think is a massive priority, because then you don't fall into that spiral of kind of obsessively thinking, okay, is this good for me? Is this good for me? Is this good for me? It's okay to have things that aren't healthy for you.
You don't have to keep track that much, because also diet, the word diet, and having a diet, I don't have a good relationship with that. A little bit about me, I know Emily probably relate to this. I've struggled with food throughout my life. I've struggled with eating, and intake it's always been fluctuating throughout my life. And that doesn't mean that I'm still on that way to having a balanced diet. Diet itself does not mean eating less at all. It doesn't mean overeating to get more weight on you. You have to think about, what is my body, my structure, what is my healthy, not so what is everyone's healthy. Everybody is different.
And that's a really good point as well for the foundations of stability, is that it is so unique for everybody. It's like my foundations of stability might be way different to yours, because we are different people, and that's okay. So when you're looking at the grand scheme of things, these 5 steps might look different for everybody, and that's okay. And it's yours, and your foundations of stability are yours because they're your foundations, and it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks.
Like Emily was saying, it looks different to everyone. So even though I say have greens, have this, whatever. I'm not saying specific amounts. I'm not saying that you need to throw away this thing that you're having, certain pizza, because I love pizza. But it's about, are you over intaking? Are you under intaking? So just think about maybe going to the doctor. There's a good way to find deficiency and problems with your health. Whenever you're confused health-wise, you should always go to your GP.
Definitely.
And they'll refer you to the right services as well. So we're on to the second step now, which is security, which is talking about, am I safe at home in my own space? Do I have privacy? Am I allowed to have privacy? Is anyone obstructing that from me? Can I change that situation? Am I financially stable? Have I set goals to become financially stable? So it's just hitting those chronologically and trying to find where the problem lies with all of these. Same with basic needs, security, health, relationships, all of these steps. You need to find the fault before you can move on to the goals.
Definitely. You need to have, and that's what we say at Therapy all the time, it's about self-awareness. And I guess looking at this video might feel a little bit overwhelming, because you might be like, oh my God, there's so many things that aren't stable in my life. And it's not about looking at them all. It's about taking a step back, and it's about just making, okay, well, I need to figure out this bit, and I need to figure out this bit. What is my first step? That's all you need to think about right now, is what is my first step. And like you said, normally that's figuring out where the problem is, and then going on, okay, how can I break it down? How can I break the solution down into smaller bits so that they're more manageable?
Yeah, exactly. And I know it seems scary when we lay it out, like these 5 things, and they have so many little subtexts and everything. But this is just more of ideas. So it's not defined by what we put out, you define it. So your security might be, you might be fine with your family, you might feel safe within your home, but you might not feel safe in your relationship with a partner specifically.
Or even you might have like mold in your house.
Yeah.
Or you might have like
your
boiler might be broken, or anything like that.
That's a great point, actually, because that, with security and being safe, that doesn't mean necessarily from the get-go mental health, but it can cause a mental health issue. So if you aren't living in an environment, say you don't have a house at all, are you safe? No, you're not. You're on the streets. You need to go to the right services. You need to reach out. And because we talk about that together, security, safe at home, and relationships, is because usually those people create that space for us to feel safe. And we don't necessarily see that at first. And that is why we need to make as many connections, not deprive ourselves of social connections, because the more people you have around, even though it's very scary and you may have a lot of trust issues and trauma that makes you hesitant to connect with people, they will show you throughout your life who is beneficial to you and who you feel safe around. And it is just trial and error. You can't make stability out of thin air. You need to learn. You need to, it's a process, it's a progress. And you can't start from the get-go with all these steps. You are never with all these steps when you're born. This is why we are doing lives that are focused for adults, because we've had experiences throughout life, and because we've recognized these in our actions and other people's actions, we can now build these foundations.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, like what you were saying earlier about that house, sometimes that house can get knocked down and it could be taken away from us, and we can say, oh, I had massively stable foundations when I was younger, and then something happened and poof, they were all gone. And it's not about holding on to that. It's about, okay, they're gone, this is my time to build a new one, and build one that suits me and one that is going to be sustainable. And that's not us being like, oh, just forget about it, it's fine. It's about looking at how we can move forward. We're a very solution focused organization, so it's about, okay, recognizing the issues in the past and saying, okay, well, I'm going to make my foundations with a different material because that one didn't work last time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because we can build our house a amount of times. Just because we think these are stability, we can be wrong ourselves. Other people can be wrong. Services that you may have joined may think this is what needs in your house. So like if, as you were saying, like your house may fall down, you can rebuild. So think of it like one of the walls of the house is a collector, and then you had an extension. Say you're bringing in healthy relationships, and then you build up that house, and then you'll suddenly have a mansion of well-being.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
I'm just trying to make a nice metaphor because it's good when you can visually see it. Because I understand a lot of people, audio might not be a good way of it hitting that brain and clicking.
That's what I love, metaphors.
Yeah.
I'm literally, my whole life, I'm like, okay, what can I turn this into? What picture can I create in my mind so that it sticks in my mind?
Yeah, that's right. We love that as well. And flowcharts.
Yeah.
So that links in, because we talked a little bit about it, healthy relationships.
Yeah.
This is talking about our connections, making sure we build those social interactions, not deprive ourselves, and setting boundaries.
Yeah. Boundaries is so difficult to set as well, especially if you struggle with like effective communication, or you have codependent relationships, or you have anxiety around being assertive. All of these things, if you've got these kind of barriers that come from our mental health, setting boundaries can be really difficult, but they are the most important thing. And I was listening to the radio yesterday, and it's a bit of a tangent, but Brad Pitt said that saying no is more important than saying yes, and the things that you say no to are more important than the things that you say yes to. And that just like jumped out at me, and I'm not really sure why, but it was so true that the things that you don't want to do and the things that you don't want in your space, it's so important to voice that, because otherwise you can't change it. If you haven't acknowledged yourself that this is a boundary and you haven't put that boundary on other people, then nothing's going to change, and your foundations just aren't going to change. So it's so important to have those boundaries and to be respectful of your own boundaries. And also social interaction and connections are just, we're social beings, aren't we? We can all say, oh, I don't like people, but we do. We just maybe haven't met the right people that we like. And like massive feelings of loneliness, feelings of isolation cause a whole heap of mental unwellness. And it can be really difficult when you don't have those stable foundations to be like, yeah, I'm going to put myself out into society and I'm going to try and make connections. It can feel like a priority. It can feel like, well, I need to figure out my housing, or I need to figure out my family, and that feels like a priority, but this has to be a priority as well, because like Lucas was saying, that you can't build your life without anybody else around you. You have to have people around you. You have to have support. So yeah, it's just so important.
Yeah, absolutely. And even though I've listed it as boundaries last, I believe that that's actually the first thing. Before connections, before social interactions, set those boundaries. And that is with experience, like I said. You can't know your boundaries until you've been through somewhat of trauma. And someone has crossed those boundaries, like you say, because then you won't feel that uncomfortable and think, oh, actually, maybe I'm not safe. So sometimes we need to break those walls to then build them up again. And with boundaries, this is not just for other people, there's boundaries for yourself, making sure that you don't cross lines that you don't want to cross. So you have to have responsibility over, say, what we've just talked about before, certain foods. If you know that that's not helping you, say that you're smoking too much or you're drinking too much, you need to set that boundary for yourself.
Even going on your phone too much. I've recently had to set myself boundaries, and I'm like, you do not go on your phone before you go to bed, because I'll just scroll on TikTok for hours.
That's true. I'm guilty of that as well. And we know that majority of the time, it's entertainment, it's a form of connection with people, but it can also cause anxiety, paranoia, especially if you're looking at media with the news. I know during COVID, a lot of people felt a bit nervous and unsure, and those thoughts can ruminate, especially before you go to bed. It's never ever good to look at a screen, regardless of what the content is. Yes, the blue light. So there's also a function of the phone, probably all new phones have this, where you can have a yellowy light, which actually switches your brain off and makes you more tired.
Yeah.
Because the blue light keeps you awake, keeps you active, and you take...
And then you can't go off, and then you have a bad night's sleep.
Yeah. Or
then you're on that spiral again.
Yeah, or you can either have dreams relating to that and worries connecting with the content that you're looking at, and you start related to your own life and start pondering that, and you want to shut that anxiety off, especially before you go to sleep, because that is going to affect your sleep hygiene, and then obviously going day to day when you wake up, and then your balanced diet and your water intake then gets affected, and you see all of these steps are connected.
Yeah.
And if we don't follow our goals, remember it's specifically the goals we set, these steps are for everyone, but in our own way.
Yeah.
So think about your steps, your healthy relationships,
your boundaries,
things like that. And those are the ones that are going to bring you back to your stability, because they're all different. Or for everyone, it's uniquely different to everyone. And
I think the first two steps, the basic human needs and the security, are one thing, and they're something that are really important for like the logistics of life. And then the next, so healthy relationships, and the next two are really important for our like inner well-being. Everything's important for our inner well-being, but these are really like specialized in our inner well-being, because healthy relationships are so important to us, and they do massively make a difference to our mental well-being, and just our overall like quality of life, really. So it's really important.
I think that's great, and that's a good segue into inner strength. So this is our fourth step in the foundations of stability. So this is talking about self-esteem. Is my self-esteem high enough? Is it hindering me to get to that stable place in my life? My happiness is my responsibility. And that's something that I will hold with me, because happiness is perception of everything that is going around you, coming into your life. It's fluctuating. Happiness is not just a product, a thing. It's not transactional. It's something in the air. It's like all around.
It's a vibe.
You can, exactly. It's a vibe. You can take it from a tree that you like the look of. You can, in passing, talking to someone, saying hello, good morning, things like that. The little things can create happiness. And that is also something that we have to be careful of, because happiness is a fragile state. It's not a constant. And we need responsibility on our own happiness to, as I was saying, perception of happiness. And we can transform that with the actions that are around us. So people, how they treat us, and that is linked to the boundaries that I was talking about. If you have those boundaries set, you need to voice them. So then people adhere to them and understand them, and that will create a happy space for you both to then gradually build that connection. You cannot build a connection with someone without stating those boundaries, and that will get you to happiness.
And I think as well with happiness, it's like you were saying, it's so transactional, but at Iseropia we say that we can make ourselves unwell with our thoughts, and we can make ourselves well with our thoughts in that same way, and that relates to happiness. And one of the other keys is to having an open and positive mindset. So happiness is massively linked to being open and being positive. So if you've got foundations that are stable, you're more likely to be able to see the positives, because there are less negatives, if that makes sense. And with self-esteem as well, I know in my personal experience, what was stopping me from building stable foundations was my self-esteem. I didn't think that I was good enough to be able to ever get to a point where I had stable foundations, and I didn't think that I had the courage to be able to do it, and the means to be able to do it, and that was holding me back for nearly 10 years. And I think that's the thing, is that if we can work on that through maybe coming to the confidence and self-esteem workshop, and speaking nicely to yourself, and being patient with yourself, this isn't going to happen overnight. Then you can kind of break that barrier down a little bit, and you can let yourself actually see the advantages of your hard work.
Yeah. And I like that you're being very open there,
Yeah.
because with me, again, self-esteem is probably the biggest hindrance that is to my mental health, because it's always fluctuating. And as we say, we have setbacks, we relapse, but we can't have that fear, because that is normal.
Yeah.
And we can always get back on track. And that's why these services like Isopia are trying to find that inner strength within you.
Yeah.
To build and take these steps with you, and then you are responsible, and you know that you can get back on track with that.
Yeah.
And with my self-esteem personally, I saw confidence like a stepping stone that was unreachable to me. I thought high confidence, wow, people are just born with this.
Could never be me.
yeah, I was like, that's so out of reach for me. And it's just like, I can't get to that point. That seems like so far away to where I could be and where I would want to be. And I actually found out throughout living life and later in life, I felt that I can actually be confident. It's my perception. I can choose to be confident, and it is kind of like you have to have a false start.
You have to fake it till you make it.
Yeah, fake some confidence for a while before it becomes genuine. But once you throw yourself into the lion's den, as it were,
and you rebuild those experiences,
you are opening yourself to new opportunities, and that will become real confidence and build stronger. And the more people you meet, the social interactions, they'll be like, oh, this person's confident. They know what they want. They have boundaries. They've set them, and they're being coherent and clear.
Yeah.
And it's really just a work in progress, because no one really knows how we do that. It's different to everyone. It's just, you've got to think, what's important to me? What do I need from society? What do I need from my friendships, my family? If you don't voice them, if you don't have those conversations, you'll never know. One thing, am I even going to reach those boundaries? Am I in a safe space where I'm going to be respected? And whether they are going to respect my boundaries, and am I going to respect myself within their care, or whether I'm the carer and I'm respecting them. You need to create a safe environment for yourself, but for other people that you're around as well. And we're going to move on, because we've only got 2 minutes left, but it doesn't matter if we go over, is our last step, the 5th step of stability, which is self-purpose. And this is feeling about your achievements, how I feel about it, my accomplishments, what have I accomplished, what am I going to accomplish, do I have meaning, do I have purpose? And I just want to reiterate, we don't say you need to have that meaning now, or like even later in life,
and it will change.
And the purpose as well, like Emily said, it can change. It throughout your life, your goals change. Same with what you think is healthy. So if you change medication, you might need to have a different prescription. You might need to change your dietary problems and everything. So it's not just one set goal. It will fluctuate, it will change. And with meaning and purpose, this is an idea, and it's going to change constantly. So I think currently, like, you should think meaning and purpose as, say, try and think of it each month, like one thing that gives me meaning, one thing that gives me purpose. Each
and
month.
one thing that I've been successful at.
Yeah.
Even if that's like doing the washing up. Or...
list them. It's to make yourself feel better, and then causing that positive switch in your brain, thinking, I actually have done that. It's
through life, we just go and we just like, oh, I'm rubbish at this, I'm rubbish at that. And actually, you have to search for the things that you're good at for it to become that automatic thought, just like, oh, I'm rubbish at everything. And that can be quite a lot of effort at the beginning, and that can be, you can say, oh, I don't know what I've achieved today, or I don't know what I've achieved this month or this year. It feels like I haven't achieved anything, but you will have. And it's about looking for that, no matter how small it is, whether that's looking after someone, taking care of someone, or just listening to someone when they're having a bad day. That's an accomplishment. It doesn't have to be these massive things that you see all over the media. Like, it doesn't have to be that you climbed a mountain or that you raised £1,000 for a charity. It can be small.
Yeah, these things, like you say, with like climbing a mountain, traveling, these aren't your meaning and purpose.
No.
Sometimes they won't lead you to the meaning and purpose either. These are experiences. These are different. These are what we like to say accomplishments, achievements. These are the goals. After you set these steps to stability, then you can reach these. These aren't things, you can't mix up your goals with your meaning and purpose. Your meaning and purpose is your drive to get to your goals. So
what makes you get out of bed in the morning?
For me personally, I'd say my son. He gives me meaning. He gives me reason to be here and to keep going because he's the light of my life. He makes me happy. I do it for him. But to do it for him, I need to do it for myself. I need to be here for myself first.
And it won't be sustainable if you just do it for him.
Yeah, and we understand as family, you see your child as the priority, but that does not mean you're being selfish, that you're not the priority first. Because they rely on you, they see you as a person to idolize and to learn from. And you have to think, even if you don't have a child, or like if you don't have a relationship, if you don't have a close friend, think about
people will be looking at you as a role model.
Yeah, all around you. And if you want that in the future, you always have to focus on yourself first. So think of yourself as, like, it might be your child, or if you don't have a child, think of it as your mini me or your younger self. And think, what would I want to be to them? What did I need from...
What did my inner child need?
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, because it's a reflection exercise of being like, what was I deprived of? And what could I give people that they've been deprived of around you? So, yeah, I think we've summarised all the 5 steps quite well. Definitely. And I think that you did really well, Emily. And I think I did well for me. Pat on the back, self-esteem. That's one of them. But yeah, we hope you enjoyed that. Hello to everyone who joined just now. That, as we've said before, Iseropia's got websites, iseropia.uk. We've also got a number that you can call from Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5. Yeah, and it's 01983 217 791, and you'll be talking to a wellbeing coach. It might be Emily, it might be someone else. I'm a media technician, so it won't be me. But if you want to talk to me, that's fine. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and remember that all of this content is on the gift. So if you're looking to join the gift, then it'll probably be run by either Karina or Tom or both. So they usually run on Fridays, I believe, and we have a rota for that. So if you want to call in, then we can tell you the times and when the next available slot is. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching.